ahead of round 2 of the PGA Championship at Valhalla Golf Club, just outside of Louisville, Kentucky. That's Randy Scott. I'm Gary Streisky. The start of Friday's second round delayed for at least an hour, Randy, with reports of an accident just outside of the gates of the golf club.
Yeah, that delay coming, news coming as you take looks here, live looks down at Louisville, Kentucky. Outside the championship gate, let's throw down to Valhalla now with more from Dave Fleming. Dave, good morning.
All right, good morning, guys. It is truly a strange scene, and you can see what it looks like outside the gates here at Valhalla Golf Club, where the sun has started to come up. So what is happening is a little more visible than it was just about an hour ago. A massive delay. We were told there was an accident just before we arrived here on property, and that accident involved a pedestrian fatality. So that's one part of the story. Dave Fleming, Andy North, Jeff Darlington. It has been a scramble this morning to get here and get ready. And guys, that's only part of the story. We don't know much more about the accident, Jeff. We do know that wasn't the only thing that happened outside the gates this morning.
That's correct. Entering Valhalla Golf Club this morning, we witnessed a car pull around us that was Scottie Scheffler was in the car. To be very clear about the details here, Scottie Scheffler has been detained by police officers, placed in the back of a police vehicle in handcuffs after he tried to pull around what he believed to be security, ended up being police officers. They told him to stop. When he didn't stop, the police officer attached himself to the vehicle. Scheffler then traveled another 10 yards before stopping the car. The police officer then grabbed at his arm, attempting to pull him out of the car before Scheffler eventually opened the door, at which point the police officer pulled Scheffler out of the car, pushed him up against the car, and immediately placed him in handcuffs. Scheffler was then walked over to the police car, placed in the back in handcuffs, very stunned about what was happening, looked toward me as he was in those handcuffs and said, "Please help me." He very clearly did not know what was happening in the situation. It moved very quickly, very rapidly, very aggressively. He was detained in that police vehicle for approximately 20 minutes. The police officers at that point did not understand that Scottie Scheffler was a golfer in the tournament, nor, of course, that he is the #1 player in the world.
How do you even explain this stuff? I mean, there's been hundreds of times that you've come up to a gate as a player and gone around security people to get into the golf course. You know, unfortunately, these things are happening, and then right now, it's just crazy. We don't have any idea exactly where we are at this moment.
Some more details, so as I step back, obviously this is something that we just witnessed, and we're essentially trying to explain what it is that we saw. This is not what we're being told, this is what we saw. So there was a bus that was essentially waiting to enter the property. Traffic was backed up miles because we were told by police officers there was a pedestrian fatality. Police officers also instructed us that the only people that were allowed to enter Valhalla Golf Club were players. We were then positioned second in line to enter Valhalla Golf Club behind a bus that did not have a driver in the driver's seat. Police officers were trying to attempt to figure out why that bus was still sitting there at the entrance, not moving. We were waiting behind that car. Scheffler's car, did not know it was Scheffler's car at the time. It was marked as an official vehicle of the PGA Championship. It had that marking on the side. He was the only person in the vehicle. He was driving the vehicle. He attempted to pull around into the shoulder, which was a wide shoulder. It was not off-road by any means. He pulled his car around at that point. That's when the police officer told him he needed to stop. I shouldn't assume anything. It seemed as if he said something to the police officer and then continued to go. He went again about 10 yards before the police officer then started to bang on his vehicle, yell obscenities. Eventually, when Scheffler lowered the window, the police officer grabbed his arm and started to pull it out of the vehicle. That's all I got.
So that's now live. They are starting to allow some of that backup to make its way into the golf course. And look, Jeff, there are two different incidents this morning, and I think it's important that we have it detailed on the screen there. This is not related to the accident, and what we were told was the pedestrian fatality. We don't want to be a part of this story, but we happened to be there. You and I happened to be there right as this was happening. And we were told by those security officers that players were allowed to get into the golf club. So I'm sure that Scottie Scheffler was told that same thing. Nobody else was allowed in, but players were going to be allowed in. So again, we're not going to speculate on what he was thinking or what he specifically was told, but I'm assuming that he was told the same thing we were.
Some more information too that I should, as this is all coming to mind, I attempted to then walk across the street to speak with police officers, instructed that I was a member of the media. They told me that I was now part of a investigation, that I very aggressively walked me to the other side of the road and told me I'd be arrested if I continued to pursue. When I did attempt to get to the back of the squad car, I did hear Scottie try to address the person who ripped him from the vehicle, the police officer ripped him from the vehicle, and tell him, I did not know you were a police officer. At least based on what I heard Scottie say to the police officer, some confusion about that.
And we don't know. They've announced that the tee times have been officially delayed by at least an hour. And most of that, I think, is related to the accident of the backup. It is a massive traffic backup. They're trying to get players, caddies, officials here onto the golf course.
Dave, I was in the car maybe 2 minutes behind you guys, and we sat out literally the last half a mile for half an hour, and traffic's not moving at all. It's absolutely gridlock out there. I don't know how they can get people in and out of the golf course any quicker than they're doing, because there's no other way to get in here.
I don't know if the Scheffler incident has anything to do with their feelings of starting the tournament on time or not. I don't know that.
Again, as this is coming to me, I can also tell you that a police officer did tell me, as I attempted to approach the patrol car that had Scottie Scheffler in the back of it, there is, I made clear, he I believe, thought that I was perhaps Scottie Scheffler's, with Scottie Scheffler. I made very clear that I was with the media. He said, there's nothing you can do. He's going to jail.
Wow.
Police officer looked me in the eye and said, there's nothing you can do. He's going to jail. #1 player in the world, Scottie Scheffler, detained in handcuffs in the back of a police car.
I mean, the craziness that can happen when you get situations like this, and obviously the thoughts are for the family who lost somebody this morning, and to have these kind of things happen, and we see confrontation at gates, players getting in and out, family getting in and out all the time. But I'm assuming everybody was major league on high alert after this horrible accident this morning.
Scottie Scheffler, by the way, to be clear, was not confrontational whatsoever.
Yeah, as far as we could see, there was no confrontation.
I mean, I walked up to the vehicle. Scottie was still, he was being taken out of the car and placed in handcuffs as I was approaching the vehicle, and at no time did he raise his voice beyond, it was well below where I'm at right now.
And since we're approaching the time, I'm sure people are tuning into us moment by moment, just wondering what is going on. So there are two things happening this morning here at Valhalla, and we do have video of Scottie Scheffler, world #1, being detained, an incident not related to a separate accident. We were told when we arrived on property that accident involved a pedestrian fatality. There were, I don't know how many dozen police cars out near the entrance. It happened somewhere very close to the entrance to the golf club. There were 50 police cars maybe out there when we first arrived, a massive backup. Scottie Scheffler's incident is not related to that. Separate from that, Scottie was trying to get on property, and again, we were told players were going to be allowed to get through the gate onto the golf course. Nobody else was going to be allowed, but players, coaches were going to be allowed to get onto the property, and Scottie was trying to do that, and that led to this second incident separate from the pedestrian fatality.
To once again explain sort of the surreal nature of this, and again, to be very clear, when you see these scenes of these police cars, that is unrelated to Scottie Scheffler's situation entirely. In fact, the police officers around the patrol car in which Scottie Scheffler was in had no idea that he was even Scottie Scheffler. I say that because one police officer came up to me with his pad and said, pen in hand, can you tell me the name of the person that we just arrested?
Yeah, which, I mean, it seems hard to believe, but it was dark. It was already chaotic.
Raining.
It was raining. I think everybody was already on edge. Whatever happened this morning was a very serious incident, and I think clearly people were on edge because of that. And I don't know if that exacerbated the situation or what. We were just told that the PGA of America has said they're going to have another update at 7:30. So we're almost at the top of the hour. So we're still a half hour away. Play has been delayed by at least an hour. At 7:30, they're going to give us another update as to when they might be able to get the second round of this championship underway, a championship that, we don't know, but
They started to take the handcuffs to give you a vivid picture of what was happening. They started to, what I thought, take the handcuffs off of Scheffler, at which point I thought he was going to be released. They then helped him adjust his wrists and place the handcuffs back on Scottie Scheffler in the back of the patrol car.
wow. Scottie's tee time was what, roughly 8:40, 8:48 Eastern time scheduled, and so that then would have been delayed by an hour. Even if that were to hold, who knows?
And one of the reasons Scottie was here 2.5 plus hours before, maybe 3 hours before that, is because the players spend an awful lot of time in the gym getting ready to play. So even if there was a chance to get him back here, it wouldn't be a normal routine of any kind for him to go through.
All right, Jeff, for people who are just tuning in, let's once again, I think it's important to just sort of step by step, we'll put the accident aside, that's sort of the prelude to what you and I saw this morning, and step by step, let's just go through again what we saw happen.
The accident, I think, is important. So early morning here at Valhalla Golf Club, it's still very dark out, still rainy. There was an accident on the road just past the entrance to Valhalla Golf Club. Traffic had been backed up and building. Scottie Scheffler tried to enter Valhalla Golf Club using a side median, at which point a police officer instructed him to stop. Scheffler attempted to continue to go. The police officer then attached himself to the side of Scheffler's car. Scheffler stopped the vehicle as he turned into Valhalla Golf Club at the entrance about 10 to 20 yards. Is that accurate?
I think that's fair.
From the point at which the police officer first told him to stop. At that point, the police officer instructed Scheffler to get out of the car. There was probably 20 to 30 seconds that Scheffler sat in the car and did not move. He had rolled down the window. The police officer, when he rolled down the window, grabbed his arm and started pulling at it. Scheffler, I believe he reached inside, opened the car door, pulled Scheffler out, pushed him up against the car, immediately placed him in handcuffs. At which point Scottie Scheffler, seeing me behind him, said, "Can you help?" The police officers instructed me to step back. I instructed that I was a member of the media. They walked Scottie Scheffler to the police car. A police officer turned to me and said, "You need to get out of the way." He told me, "There's nothing you can do. Scottie Scheffler is going to jail."